Welcome to Hip Hop Now Podcast. If you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your ass out of here. Don't disrespect the legend. Hip hop is here to stay. Let's get right into the business. What up, y'all? I am your host, Vegas, and this is a Hip Hop Now Podcast coming to you from the dungeons of rap. I used to say that when I was in my garage, but it's not necessarily true now. But nevertheless, welcome to those listening in audio form, whether you be a new listener, welcome, or a returning listener. Welcome back. Big shout out to everybody who's been listening in audio form. I believe sometime next year it will be 10 years for this podcast, which is crazy. And probably 2 years for the video version of this podcast right here on YouTube, regardless of how you found the podcast, whether it's through shorts or I don't know, these videos, this weekly podcast videos, specials like That Time in Hip Hop, whatever way you found this podcast, even through other social media platforms, the best thing you can do to help a brother out is to subscribe. And if you really love the content and you want to support the content, you can become a member. The information is right in the description of this episode with a link to tell you all about what membership is. But I'll tell you briefly, is basically you donate to the podcast and you get exclusive content. You get to watch some of my videos, typically mostly like the bonus content, in advance of when it goes live for everyone else. Hold up, I keep forgetting to turn off my notifications. So boom, there we go. You probably didn't hear that, but so what? But one thing to note is you don't have to give to watch, obviously. You don't have to donate in any form, whether that's becoming a member of the channel or purchasing merch. But please know that this helps out the channel in a lot of ways, because all of the proceeds from anything, CashApp, whatever you may send my way, goes right back into the production of the podcast. Well, let me say the production and the promotions of the podcast, because, sometimes there's equipment upgrades that need to happen, like lights, which I have now, like 4K camera, which I have now also. Software, right? This video software that I've paid for that works well for me now, right? But there's also audio software that comes with a monthly fee. That may go towards that. Or even if it's a little bit of money, it may just go towards advertisement on social media, which I've done a couple of times in the past. So thanks to everybody who supported, whether you was here during Patreon or you're here now. But if you hang out on YouTube, being a member is a dope thing. Don't forget to hype the video and all that good stuff, and super chats. And I'll have some live streams coming up down the line as we get into some interesting albums and topics throughout the year. So with that said, big shout out to hiphopdx.com, XXL Mag, and a couple of places where I'm getting my stories from. Let's get right into the business though. The Clipse it's a situation where the Clipse are essentially the biggest thing of the year, right? We might as well just say it. We might as well come out with it and just say it, right? Even if you didn't like the album, it's hard to pause. It's hard to not agree that their album captured a big moment in hip hop in a similar way to the Drake and Kendrick Lamar battle, right? Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was going to the tour. Not everybody, but you know what I mean. Buying vinyl, like that's probably the first time I bought vinyl for a new album right away. Like I had to have it, which is something I went out and did. The the rollout, right? The tiny desk, being on all the shows, giving quotables and interviews, Malice turning into memes, Malice being like probably MC of the year easily. And I don't only say that because of the Clipse album, because if you listen to the record Community on Jid's album, Malice's verse, it's crazy. And he's been a guest on a couple of other projects where he got busy, and he's going to be on Mobb Deep's album also. But, well, the Clipse will be on Mobb Deep's album. But that's what I mean. It's like the Clipse have just been big, and now they just did something even bigger, right? So this week this is on hiphopdx.com. Clipse performed first ever rap concert at the Vatican. At the Vatican. The Clipse. Coke rappers. I stuffed a Blizzard in a Honda Civic. White glove service, I am Luigi. At the Vatican. Now, I didn't watch the set, so the only the only song I heard was probably the most appropriate song for the Vatican, I assume, which was the first song off the album where they talk about their parents and passing, which is a song that it's almost like a perfect setup for the album. But I'm not going to review the album. Again, you can check it out on the channel. We did a whole breakdown review and all that good stuff. But I'll say this. Every time the Clipse start to die down and we start to get in the groove of other albums as far as their exposure in the public, something else happens to remind you, right? Like, when it starts to die down a little bit, there's shows happening, and it was like FICO's, the song with Stove God Cooks on the hook, started to rise. And then Stove God was getting all this attention. And it was like, and it's just going right back to the Clipse album. And like I said, when I reviewed Jid's album, I feel like that's one of the best albums of the year, and the Clipse are on it. And it is a good chance that, from what I've heard so far, like with the Mobb Deep stuff, Clipse are on that. So by the end of the year, it's just going to be crazy. It's going to be a crazy victory lap for the Clipse. And I love it. And one last thing, every time I hear a song from that album, I want to go listen to the whole album. Like, it's hands down probably the number one album. You know how they do those year-end reviews on Apple and Spotify? Clipse is going to be at the very top of mine. It already is. When you look at the replay list for my account, Clipse is right, like damn near the whole album's there. So I think it's a dope look for the Clipse to do something like this. And what I liked about it more than anything is it felt like it should be them. And I don't know why. Maybe it was I believe they came out in tuxedos, and, it was kind of like Nas performing Illmatic, where it's like a classy affair. But it's something about the articulation when they're rhyming, when they're when they're rhyming. That's what's most important. The technique, they sound like every word matters. Every word is worth millions of dollars. Every word is art, right? And that's how they perform also. So to be at the Vatican and the way it looked also was just like, it's perfect. They could probably do a whole other tour, but just do it like Nas with the symphony, and they in suits. There's something to be said about that. Like when I was watching Nas, I'm like, damn, he's performing Illmatic. And he's talking about Project Hallways and crack and crackheads. But somehow this still feels like highbrow, like, hey, yo, don't wear your dusty Timbs to this event. Even though some people did. But I thought it was dope. Next, Dr. Dre apparently produced some songs for the Diplomats back in the days that are in the vault and apparently will never be released. That's what's being said. And this is allegedly unreleased music, but somehow I don't doubt it. This is also from hiphopdx.com. Dr. Dre reportedly has a load of unreleased music he made with Diplomats, according to Tony Yayo. Now, I know what you're going to say. Like, wait a minute, what? The G Unit, Tony Yayo? Like, what the hell? But remember, like, Tony Yayo has a relationship with Dre also, and he was around with 50, and I'm pretty sure Dre talks and all that good stuff. But this was on Shannon Sharp's podcast, Club Shay Shay, which I do not watch, but I do watch Nightcap. I like Nightcap for sports. And he revealed this, if I could get past the goddamn advertisement. He said, and I quote, Dr. Dre is just a real picky MF. He did records with DipSet, and that ish ain't never come out. He did he did records with certain people, and they never coming out. But he's like a real particular N-word. I remember that he used to tell 50 to do one line over and over again. Do it over, say it like this. And I understood sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Dre is a effing perfectionist. That was an experience. Now, if you are extremely close to hip hop and you pay attention to everything, this is not news. Dr. Dre being a perfectionist to the point where if you don't get it right, you're not coming out. You might get dropped from the label. It's just how particular he is. But I feel like how Snoop feels. Snoop feels like, I don't care if he asks me to say the same word 100 times over, because I know when it's said and done and that album is finished, it will sound like perfection. And if you watch this podcast enough, if you listen to an album, like some people, when they think of Dr. Dre, they only go back to Compton, right? Which obviously some of that's there. But the albums that you really need to listen to really hear Dr. Dre at the master level of sound quality, Compton album, which was dope. I know y'all hated on it, but it was dope. But listen to that joint. And this recent Missionary album, the sound quality, the crispness of people's voices, lyrics, articulation, like, is so great. It's similar to what I was just saying about the Clipse, right? And I don't even think that music is dope, but I don't think quality wise it's on the level of what Dre does, like what he did with Marsha Ambrosia. Like, if you have good headphones, but if you have excellent headphones that really, especially like the over the ear joints that take advantage of the quality of the sound, and they kind of represent, if it's plugged in, right? Not Bluetooth. They kind of represent what the engineer, what the producer, the artist created, right? It's not a dumbed down version, a compressed version. It's like everything they wanted you to hear. You need some really quality headphones in order to take advantage of that. And the streaming services like Apple and now Spotify have lossless audio, so you can really get that, because there are plenty of albums. I know for me, just a little sidebar, where I've heard them for years, and maybe they've added spatial audio or something like that, and the minute I got headphones that could take advantage of some of that stuff, I was like, wow, this album sounds different. Like, I'm hearing things I don't remember hearing in the records previously, and they were there, but they were subdued. Like, for example, Biggie's Somebody Got the what's the YouTube term when you don't want to, well, I don't monetize anyway. Somebody Gotta Die, right? I remember back in the days, me and my friends like played around with the audio and we can only hear the backtrack. And it was like Big and Puff created like a whole damn movie under Somebody Got to Die. Like with sound effects and everything. All you heard was the talking, the steps, the rain, like it was crazy. But we had to do something with the stereo in order to hear that, right? And we just listened to it like, damn, it's crazy it's there. Because you really couldn't hear it in the song. You can hear that there were things happening in the background, but it wasn't clear. Well, I listened to that same song a couple of days ago, the remastered version that I bought a while ago. And now that background was like, it was almost too clear. So I was, I liked it, but then at the same time, I was kind of like, my attention span is going from Big's lyrics to that and back and forth. But I said all of that to say that is how Dr. Dre rolls. Like he is a perfectionist. He does not want to put anything out that he doesn't feel is up to par. And it was the main reason why we never got Detox, because Dr. Dre didn't feel like it was ready for prime time, which is unfortunate because everybody who talked about it was like, oh, songs are crazy, blah, blah, blah. But Dr. Dre like, nah, this ain't it. This is not what I want to do. Eventually, I get the feeling in this day and age, we'll probably hear something, whether it's from the Diplomat side, Rakim stuff, Eve, whoever, and whatever else he got in the vault that's on lock. But I don't think Dr. Dre will release it himself because he don't want us to hear that. So, lastly, speaking of in the vault and coming outside, but maybe everybody already played freeze tag and now they're going to eat dinner and you late. Jay Electronica has officially released his solo album, Act 2, The Patents of Nobility, The Turn. That's a lot. But he also released a written testimony leaflets. Now, I know you're saying to yourself, what the hell is going on and what is that? Back in 2020, when Jay Electronica released a surprise to most of us, this was during the lockdown and all of that with COVID, the pandemic, he released an album called A Written Testimony. Everybody was like, word, let's go listen to it. But when we listened to it, we like, damn, Jay-Z is on every record. And he sound way better than Jay Electronica on here. It's almost a Jay-Z album, the way he commands his bars on here. And he's getting busy. Like Jay-Z was rapping in a way he hadn't rapped in years on that album, which was supposed to be Jay Electronica's album. And I liked it. I know some people who didn't like it. I know some people who was like, yo, we waited all this time for Jay Electronica to drop an album, like 10 years. And when he drops one, not only is Jay-Z on damn near every song, but he's also outshining Jay Electronica. So time, and not that much time, maybe a week or two went by. And then all of a sudden, an album appeared that was Jay Electronica's solo album. And it featured Jay-Z, but maybe on a song or two, maybe like 3 songs, and one is like the hook and there's some talking. But for the most part, it was like, oh, this is the album we were waiting for. But apparently it was leaked. Now, all of us had it and continue to have it, but it was kind of weird because when you listen to the album, if you know, you said to yourself, is this the album Just Blaze was talking about? Because he was really talking about it. And this album is really like low key. And this just I don't think this is what Just Blaze was talking about. So with that being said, back then I probably did a review of the album, but because the album is now officially released, it's out, I listened to it, it's basically the same album. I think even quality wise, the cover's different. That written testimony leaflets has the exact same cover, if I'm not mistaken. And on the one hand, it feels like, okay, and by the way, I know Jay Electronica, I believe, is off of Rock Nation now and maybe signed to Griselda. I think that was the word. But these projects, all three of these albums I mentioned, including the written testimony from 2020, are all distributed through Rock Nation. It says it. So I went ahead and did what I typically do when I review an album, because I hadn't listened to this album since probably 2020. Act 2 features 14 songs and clocks in around 43 minutes. If it features Erykah Badu, Jay-Z, and a couple of other people who I can't see their names, so whatever. One featuring Ronald Reagan, but is he featured if you're just playing stuff? So when it comes to the reviews, if you don't know, I gave it 3 listens. One, just to get my impressions. The second listen is to kind of listen a little bit more intently, the goal of the album, the theme, the music, all the things about the album. And the third listen is just to confirm my thoughts. For the quick reviewers, I have the same opinion I had in 2020. It's okay. A written testimony is better. Now, what does that say? Knowing that Jay-Z is on damn near every song of that album, it says that I think, in summary, right, that some people are going to be extremely disappointed if they never heard this album. And some people are going to be extremely happy. And I'm going to tell you why those two are so different. The people who would be extremely disappointed are the people who, when they heard Exhibit A through C, but especially Exhibit C, that was the bar. Excuse me, that was the expectation for a Jay Electronica album that they've waited 10 years to hear, right? And if you didn't have the bootleg, now you was waiting 15, right? 15 years. So, because this album does not sound like Exhibit A, B, or maybe A, but it definitely doesn't sound like Exhibit C at all. That energy you got from a Jay Electronica, it's mostly not here, right? That type of production is definitely not here. Now there's some dope production because there's some dope records here, but we've been listening to these records separate from the album for over a decade now. And that's not a lie, for like over a decade. Like, for example, Shiny Suit Theory with Jay-Z. Man, we had that record eons ago. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how long is an eon, but you get it. A long ass time ago, okay? That's what it means. But I kind of felt, I'm not gonna lie, that for the other people who would love this album, this is a sequel to Style Wars, right? Remember the EP, that EP/album that features Act 1, right? That people discovered, like myself, discovered Jay Electronica and really dug his use of like samples of people talking, or from like cartoons, or in that case, Willy Wonka. Like, people enjoy like this eclectic mixed bag of beats. Some beats he was rapping over with Dilla also. And delivery, and it was just kind of it was the reason why we like Jay Electronica. So it's like there's 2 different versions of him, right? And this album is the original. It's not the Just Blaze Exhibit C. It's the original version. So when you go into it with that mind state, if you've heard Star Wars or you own it, when you listen to this, everything makes sense. The long intros with, the Ronald Reagan talking. It's like you're here for that because that's what it was. You know what I'm saying? Early on. You don't really care about the fact that there isn't a Exhibit C kind of song on here because it's really about the messages, the journey, the elements that bring this album together to make a complete statement. Again, poetic, eclectic, all these things. But to me, that stuff is niche, right? It's not for everybody. Some people will find this album to be completely boring. And they be like, well, I like that Shiny Suit joint with Jay-Z. He got busy on that. I went from Warren to Warren. Like, yo, that bar was crazy. Yes, it is. But unfortunately, you're not getting the album, or we're not getting the album that we expected. Now, granted, given this fact that this was leaked and everybody had it and felt like everybody heard it, only the people who've never heard it are probably going to jump on it or didn't have it or don't have it anymore. I take that back. I probably listened to it twice because I felt like when it leaked around the time of a written testimony, I felt like, well, I like this better. So I was just listening to that. But somewhere down the line, I listened to this album again, maybe like in 2021, just to see. And I felt the same way. I felt like I think this could have worked for him before Exhibit C. When Act One and some of those mixtapes, when those things were out, this probably would have worked at that time, which is, like 2009 or something, or 2010. You fast forward that many years in advance, after Exhibit C kind of made Jay Electronica a name in hip hop, people wanted that. And we do not hear what Just Blaze was talking about in this album. So, just real quick, the other release today, written testimony leaflets, 7 songs, 28 minutes. Features include Quentin Miller, who y'all know him from Drake, and Dram, y'all know him from Drake. This one, honestly, unless you really, 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 really love Jay Electronica and you just want all the things you didn't get, this is for you. Because quite honestly, I probably won't listen to any of this ever again. I mean, there's a certain level of interest, but it's just not. It's just not the time. Not after the Clipse, not after every Supreme Clientele too, not after all Jid, like not after what we've been getting. So maybe because of Jay Electronica's situation, maybe we're gonna get new music on Griselda. And maybe this is, before we get there, let's put out the things officially. So, have you heard Jay Electronica's album Act 2? Were you disappointed when you finally got a true solo album from Jay Electronica? Or were you completely satisfied because this is the Jay Electronica you want to hear? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Follow me on social media at Vegas World INC and subscribe to the podcast first in audio form if that's your bag on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Review on Apple, but also right here on YouTube where we have 20,000 subscribers. The goal was 25,000 by the end of the year. So if you enjoy this content, subscribe to stay locked in for more. Hit the like button on this video if you like it. Definitely comment, because I read comments and I respond. But most importantly, share it with people you know enjoy this kind of content. Until next time, y'all, I'm not a critic, I'm a fan. Peace.